the weird like physical aspects that comes with quitting bud now is like.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing with like stopping smoking. The first week was I felt more lethargic and kind of tired.
Yeah, no, you feel like your body's like going through something, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
It was
I
like
just don't know
trying to like purge itself, man. I was taking naps every day.
Yeah, you just don't know anymore. Like, it's best not to like dabble anymore.
Yeah.
Period. But it's like, especially with the revelation and everything, I'm just like,
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's got to be God's way of saying, it's time to change it.
it's time to lock in there, brother.
Yeah. I mean, we could always come back to it when we're later in life, but
Yeah.
right now, I feel like it kind of took away from our motivation too. You know what I mean? Especially with us not being as like close to music as we used to, like having everybody around us kind of being in the studio all the time. It just felt like it was making us comfortable when we shouldn't be.
No, yeah, and I will say that it's a blessing because that's exactly what I thought of. Okay, pull me in.
No, for real.
I'm about to go full force.
Like if I'm smoking bud, I could fucking go stare at a wall and be entertained. You know? But when you're sober, you kind of have to force yourself to like go do something and kind of buy the time. From what I've experienced, I've been able to go to the gym more, and obviously eating healthy kind of sucks still, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see many negatives of doing it.
No, yeah, and you get used to it too. It's all just like habitual at the end of the day, I think, mostly as well. Like, especially when it comes to like, I mean, yeah, 100% when it comes to smoking or any drug use for that matter.
Yeah, just trying to like find another fucking hobby to pick up because it does take up a lot of time, dude.
Yeah.
Especially like smoking blunts and stuff.
Find the healthy vice.
Yeah.
Do the pump.
Yeah. I mean, how are you and Emily though?
Good. Yeah, we were going through a rough patch there, just not knowing what was going to happen with our place and what she really wanted to do. But I think I was away from her visiting my father for a while, and that's when I had found out the news. And so it just like pulled me right back in.
Yeah.
And I was okay.
Like, well, you got baptized what 2-3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
So how was that?
Woo!
That had to be like a pretty revelating experience, man.
Yeah, dude. That's really what I'm trying to do through everything now. Period. It's just for the kingdom, like for the goodness.
Yeah, I mean, what was the like thought process behind doing that now? Or was it your dad kind of coming at you, like saying it was an opportunity to do it?
No, I just felt like it was my next step in my walk. I wanted to make it apparent. I wanted to make it physical because I had reached a place where I really, really believed. Like I was like, this isn't
where you want to go.
Or yeah, I was like, this isn't. My life isn't a game anymore, and I've like destroyed it with my own hands. I'm just trying to give it to Jesus at this point, and
no, I feel that. Yeah.
And have him bring me to new revelations and bring me to new places and better places. This being one of them. Baptism, 100% was me just like speaking it into the physical world and just getting closer. Since then, I've just been, I don't know, looking up a lot of the word. Watching a lot of Christian YouTube. Shout out Isaiah Salvador.
Oh, that's sick, bro.
So awesome. Yeah. So is Emily. Both of us just like.
Oh, she started going with you? You go to church, yeah?
Yeah.
She been going with you?
Yeah. Rolling Hamilton Hills. Whoop, Hamilton Hills gang.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, top 5 moments of my life for sure.
What's another one?
That baptism me. Who's your dome show? First Who's Your Dome show?
That's what I was gonna ask you, man. Since like the Goon Squad, the glory days, like, what's like one of the biggest things that you miss from that, and what's something that you don't? You know,
that's a gun.
I swear, for me, it's like obviously I miss how close we were to music back then. I feel like every single day we were waking up trying to make another song, or we were hanging out in the studio with Josh, and it felt like it was just easier back then.
Yeah.
To try to make a hit, we didn't have to like try so much, or it wasn't some life or death situation. But the thing I don't miss is that the dopamine kick, you know, coming coming out of the concert, man.
Yeah, coming up and coming down. Yeah, man.
It was like the worst drug come down, and I mean, that's the reason I feel like I don't perform anymore is because it's just too dangerous to put my head into that mental space again.
Right. And I think we talked about this before, just like how dangerous it is. And I didn't realize that until growing up and going through every single thing or every single vice and saying, no, that's not it. And thinking back like, oh man, we were kids getting dopamine shots of like celebrity level, like child star.
I mean, it might as well have been a hard drug at that point. Like,
yeah. And it makes me like really feel like for kids who are younger in this right now too, kids who are younger than us performing and kids who are younger than us with these huge deals and these huge labels on their backs.
dude, I swear.
They don't know who's who. Like,
yeah, I mean, you know, and our idols back then were like Lil Peep and X and Juice WRLD and all of those dudes that died at like, what, 21?
Yeah,
like,
rest in peace.
And that's kind of like where we were in our headspace back then was kind of like, oh, we don't give a shit. Like, those guys are going to be legends, you know? If we die like that, then so be it. But I don't think that's the healthy way to be about it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the whole sad boy wave was like, all right, let's just do a bunch of drugs, make some really sad music.
Get in the basement.
You know?
It's dark.
Yeah,
we're doing it now.
It was a bad place, I think.
Yeah. And you can argue on like what breeds it too. Is it like just the person? Is it the product of a lot of these people at one time rising up in the similar scene because it's popping up right now? Or is it a statement about how our generation feels? I don't know. But yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, there's definitely still an audience for it. I feel like a lot of people still connect with our music on that. But
yeah,
to be able to like go out and do that shit every night, performing it, living it, I don't know. I don't think it's sustainable.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, at least then you'd be closer to the homies, you know?
No, seriously. Yeah, seriously. And like, we just don't realize how important that is in life.
Yeah, I think that's been the hardest part for me not being as close to everybody, not seeing everybody all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Anna's been a godsend, but...
Right.
It's definitely more hard to focus on making music and stay in that, like, cycle of creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the same thing. Like, it's like, yeah, I have my amazing significant other, but it's seldom I don't think about what everyone's doing, you know, what everyone in the friend group is doing, what everyone like in the music is doing right now. And I'm like,
yeah, I always find myself comparing myself to like these other guys that are able to just make so much content all the time. And
that too, yeah.
You know, it's like, man, I can't keep up with it. So it's like every time we do make a song or do some type of art project, I feel like it has to be the best thing that we've done yet. Otherwise, we just will not be able to keep up with these guys.
Yeah. No, seriously, like some people's lifestyles, I don't know. That's an anomaly. That's something I'd ask probably every single artist I meet, like, what do you do? Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of guys have like a team already around, you know, like I know Spaceman, he's got T. Aubrey, who can make him a fucking industry quality video.
Yeah.
Every time.
Almost like mini label.
Yeah.
Like his own like self mini label. Like
right.
I don't need anyone else to do what I'm doing or what we're doing.
No, for sure,
I
bro.
can just do that.
I mean, even the engineers, we always have a problem finding engineers that can fucking make our songs the way we need them to be.
Yeah. It's hard to lock down, especially in today's day and age too. I think it's even harder because like social media, there's just a lot more options for people. There's like, I feel like the people you're supposed to meet might get lost in the sea of things that are going on.
Yeah.
Versus not, but I don't know, it's just a thought.
And then like, can you mesh with them over the internet? Can you talk, you know, because most guys ain't living in Indiana, especially these guys that are making good music.
Yup.
You know, like we're not in Florida or Texas or Cali.
I can't fly to LA right now. I'm sorry. My family needs me to
dude.
help them out.
And it's like, how much can you actually connect with the music if I'm paying you $500 over the internet to just throw your vision on it, you know?
Right.
It's definitely become more difficult.
I think it's, what is the same about it though is everyone in the same collective, everyone trying to do that thing is coming together and still sacrificing
I mean,
that portion of themselves or that portion of their lives consistently.
And I feel like we've gotten that before, but it's always like in a stride. Like when we worked with Nick, we had that moment of making those amazing songs, but then you kind of fade out of that and you got to find somebody else to do it too. And it's just been so beyond difficult. But you produce a lot of your own stuff. You engineer a lot of your own stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, how's your relationship with music been lately? Have you been like moving towards making more songs, or are you trying to express yourself creatively like in other avenues?
I want to play up some keyboard.
Have you been working on music?
Not necessarily like a song, but I've been working on music like on my guitar and stuff.
Yeah,
just
you
like,
still play and stuff.
Yeah, putting things together. But it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this, but I'm stuck creatively. I'm not sure how to go forward with things. Like my brain wants to write a certain way, do things a certain way, but I'm a completely different person, especially when it comes to guitar right now. I bet I could hop on the laptop and make like...
I mean, what style of music do you think you'd make? I mean, is it like something more like Trading Vices again, or you going more acoustic like your EPs that you've done?
Right, like that's the question. Maybe not even more acoustic, but more abstract.
Like what artist?
Beats. Oh man. Oh, what's his name?
I know you fuck with Greta Van Fleet. That's like been a newer one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, okay, so
Like trying to make music like that's gonna be difficult.
yeah, I forget what their brother's name that does the bass and the keys, but shout out. Yeah, because those keys are dope. Fulls. Like how like some of the instruments exactly. How do I incorporate
I mean, that's a full
that?
band, you know?
Yeah. And that's...
I mean, you
that's
still talk
its
to
own
like
beast.
Sydney and them about, do they still make music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're working at SMC right now. We'll have the weekends off though, so I was like, is this an opening?
Right, some sort of session.
Right. Because I'm kind of heading back into my guitar.
Do you think you'd ever do something like Trading Vices again? Or is that kind of like an era that you don't want to revisit?
Man, that's a tough question. I'll say yes and yes. At the same time, it's an era that I don't want to revisit. Do I think I'll make something like that again? Yeah. I won't say I'll never make something, a certain way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a darker song, dude.
It's whatever I need to get out. It's whatever I want to get out at that moment. And I'll never sit there and say, I shouldn't have made that song because someone heard it at some certain time that they probably needed to hear it. And for
that's exactly the thought process I always have with it too. I'm like, all right, man, even if the song's not as popular as our other ones, like if someone's getting helped by it or it's being heard by somebody, who am I to say that I shouldn't have made that song, you know?
Right. And who you to judge?
Right. Like even if it's only got 1,000 plays or 100 plays, if it helps one fucking person, dude, it's got to be worth our time.
Amen. Heck yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the like more pop or like commercial tracks are just so much filler bullshit that it doesn't reflect who we are as people, you know? We're not some like overjoyous, like happy people every day, like rapping about the fucking sunshine.
Yeah.
It's just not realistic.
Right. And yeah, that's where I'm getting lost in translation, because although I'm joyous and although I have different ideas I want to write about, that old way of how I make music or fall into certain like niches is still there. So I'm trying to like Rubik's Cube it. Puzzle
for
pieces
sure,
together.
dude, for sure. I mean, you get like Idle Glance. We gotta fucking somehow find a way to get that, because that's like our best promotion that we have, you know?
Yeah.
Somehow finding a way to make our styles fit into their niche.
Right. And niches, that's a whole different thing too.
Yeah. Which you did with Trading Vices. Like, it's more of like a lo-fi, almost like a grunge,
Yeah, that grunge
genre.
rock. That's, yeah.
And you produced that one too, right?
No, that was SLWD. That's it.
Oh, it's one of those.
Sad Little White Boy. Shout out Sad Little White Boy.
Yeah, one of those tight beats.
Hope you're still alive, man.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Shout out.
Thank you for fighting, man. That's what's up. Shout out Ukraine.
Shout out.
Yeah, no, hope he's all right, because I was like, hey man, I need this beat. I want this beat. He's like, hey man, I'll make Enlisted. I'm like, oh, Word.
Yeah.
Like good luck, man. Like
No,
this
for
is
sure,
crazy.
dude.
This is real life. We were just listening to Summer 16 by Drake.
Nah, for real, man.
Like,
What was the last song that you released? Was it with Ocean? Is that the last one?
Leave It All in the Past. Yeah. Besides my latest solo one, Still Keep Calm.
That was your latest
Which
solo track. That was the last one on your profile.
Yeah, besides what me and Jeff do, me and Black Sheep.
What was that one?
Amnesia Tape.
Oh yeah,
The 3-piece
dude. Even
thing.
that was like almost a year ago. I feel
Yeah,
like
it was.
long time, bro.
Yeah,
So
it's been a long time. Life has just taken me for a complete ride. I've taken myself for a complete ride.
Yeah,
And from what I hear, your 20s take you for a complete ride.
I know, dude.
Like, why not?
Yeah, I turned 25 this week. Like, it's not.
Sheesh.
Who would have thought we would? I mean, still be here, but this where
Praise
we are
God.
at in life. It's
Praise God.
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, especially lately. Good place, good job. Dreams are still alive. Amen.
Yeah,
That's what's up.
I mean, just trying to stay motivated. I feel like it's the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
Like trying to somehow figure out, okay, if I'm gonna be making music, how am I going to fucking fund it, and how am I going to like still reflect who I am as a person instead of like caving into what I think is going to be popular.
Right. I
Yeah.
guess that'll bring me into a question I want to ask. How many times realistically, how many times do you think you have had that thought about quitting music as your career and doing something and
mean-
seriously have given it thought? How many times do you think?
I mean, throughout my career, I've told myself I'd quit twice. Like one of it being right before COVID. I was when we did Feel Your Vibe, and then I had like a
COVID was rough.
like 9 months before I released another track, which I'm pretty sure was it was the Ultraviolet project, which is kind of like the
Fire.
reboot in my opinion of like if I was looking at my catalog, like Ultraviolet was kind of like this light, this glimmer of hope through all of that shit, you know.
Yeah.
It's definitely like one of my favorite projects. But other than
Same.
that, like this
Same.
last year, dude, every time I make a song, I'm almost approaching it like, okay, this is gonna be the last one I make, you know, because I really just don't know if I'll find another beat that I can connect with, or if I'll get lyrics that reflect how I feel. And I never want to release something that's like half-assed or
Right.
not as good as what we've done before. You know what I mean?
Right. It's got to be keeping it real at least.
Yeah. And I mean, I know, you know, like I've probably scrapped half the songs I've ever worked on
Yeah.
and not posted it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, dude, as we get older, it's getting harder to fucking do that and just keep up with the resources and trying to tell myself, all right, bro, you just keep going and find a way to make another track, you know?
The self-discipline's crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's what I'll say.
The only thing
There's
that holds me accountable is like, all right, if I do give it up, what am I looking at? I'm looking at like 50 years of working some bullshit job that I really don't care about. Like I'm not necessarily going back. I'm not going to go back to college and become a fucking lawyer. Like I just
Right. Can't turn back the clock.
yeah. And,
I
you
guess
know,
you could if you really, really wanted to be a lawyer.
yeah. I mean, I can maybe go, you know, become a sound engineer or something. But even that, I would just be like, man, I'd rather just work on my own music. Like
Right. There's the calling
yeah.
for sure.
And I just haven't really connected with anything else that's like, okay, I could live for the rest of my life doing this. And I feel like while we're making music, there's always the chance every day where we're like, our shit could blow up, you know? Every Tuesday when Discover Weekly comes, you're like,
Yeah.
all right, bro, this could be the fucking one.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we gave that up, which like I have in the past, it just becomes so dark and desolate where you like all of the chances of optimism kind of go out the window.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm going to work this week.
Yeah. You're sitting in the rush hour. You're like, ooh.
Yeah, and you're just staring down the next 40 years.
Something about the rush hour is hitting different today.
Dude. And I can't see myself surviving that long with that as my only future, you know?
Yeah.
Because even like I work at Precision Garage, I work a warehouse job, and it's like, all right, if I progress through this shit, what am I looking at? Becoming a manager? Like I don't have any passion for that. I don't have any like urge to wake up every morning
Right.
and
That
work
doesn't
towards
get me
that.
up in the morning. Right.
Yeah. And, you know, my niece and nephew, I wouldn't be able to look at them and be like, and give them a good enough reason why I quit. You You know, if they're like, why, you know, why'd you walk away from music? I'm like, well, you helped people. I'd be like, well, you know, oh, maybe I just didn't want to do it anymore. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. You know, if I had a good enough why for why I quit, maybe it would happen someday, but I don't.
Right.
And it kind of holds me accountable. You know?
Yeah, no, seriously. I like that a lot.
Yeah. You know, because my niece and nephew, like, how could I tell them, hey, go follow your dreams, or like, go fucking try to make something of yourself? And they'll be like, well, why didn't you?
Right.
And it's like,
right.
I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be able to give them a good reason why I left.
Yeah, I just got to stick to it. You just have to stay on it. Have to. That's what I've been thinking of a lot. You just have to do it. There's just something about it.
Yeah, man. I mean, even when we were like 17, 18 years old doing it, like, there wasn't some like magical reason that we were drawn to it. You know?
Yeah, no, that was the only thing getting me up out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and even if things are dark now, things were dark back then when we were 20 and we didn't have any clue if people even liked our music, you know?
Yeah, throwing it all to the wind. You're right, yeah.
Like, we had nobody tuning in. We were getting like, when Veins hit 1,000 plays on SoundCloud, that was like the biggest day of my life. Like, holy shit, dude, someone's actually listening. And in retrospect, you know, now it's like, oh, I got 100,000 plays. Like, maybe it's a good enough song, you know?
Right.
Like, it's just perspective now.
Yeah, man, looking back, those small victories are so meaningful.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when Trading Vices got on Idle Glance and you hit 10,000 monthly listeners for the first time, it's like you get to wake up that morning and feel a sense of like accomplishment.
And and then the urgency and the discipline kind of follow with it too when you're on a roll.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I've never been one that can like rush a song or rush like working on a piece of art just because, you know, people are tuning in. I mean, I do think that momentum plays a role, but I've never released more than 7 or 8 tracks in a year, you know?
Yeah.
I think the biggest project I've ever released was like fucking 6 songs. And that I don't think it was necessarily worth it. I would have rather just took my time on all of them and released them as like singles.
Quality over quantity.
Yeah. I mean, what's the biggest project you ever did? It was like that acoustic
just
EP,
3 or 4
wasn't it?
tracks, yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. I think Polaroids for me was the biggest, but technically I released those as singles too.
Yeah.
So, and that's 8 songs. And I don't know if I'd ever do more than that.
Yeah, time to curate them all.
Mm-hmm.
Time to make each one meaningful.
And that's not even considered an album. You know? Like, it's a mixtape. 8 songs, that's a mixtape.
Yeah.
So we don't have any albums. Like,
we'll do what we want.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't think it's worth.
An album now.
I don't think it's worth doing an album though until you like get a huge following, because you can't submit it to editorials. You can only submit one to editorials. You can't, you know, you can't promote each of them on their own. You only get one song on release radar.
Oh, word.
Yeah, so it's like, what's the point?
Oh, yeah,
you know?
so there's no incentive to even.
Yeah. I mean, how many songs have you submitted to editorials? Like, I know I didn't even start fucking doing it until 4, like this year. I would maybe submit it like 1 week before. And now I know that that's not enough time.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe.
Yeah. And even then, like, I think Wine Tears maybe could have got on there. You know, you could have had, there's a couple other acoustic ones you had that I think could have had an audience on an editorial.
Right.
I mean, even Trading Vices, like, they got those lo-fi playlists.
They're selling the information somewhere.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
I know.
We used to go get the curated. You remember the fucking curators? Like, we'd go get a curated list of all these Spotify emails. We just submit to them.
Go buy it.
Yeah, dude. Because I've never been good at like promoting on Instagram or Twitter or fucking TikTok. You know, we just focus on making quality music, and that's kind of been enough. But to be able to compete with like, or keep up with these other guys, like, we have to be able to get our marketing and promotions like way, way bigger than they are now.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of